Our next speaker is Lynda Hudson. Lynda is a clinical hypnotherapist with a psychology degree who has specialized in working with children for the past 25 years. She is a former trainer at the LCCH in London and now presents webinars about working with children. She is the author of the best-selling Scripts and Strategies in Hypnotherapy with Children, as well as another book aimed at treating adults called More Scripts and Strategies in Hypnotherapy. She has created and recorded around 100 hypnosis audio downloads for a wide range of different age groups. Her talk is titled, Helping Children Cope with Anxiety, the Pandemic and Beyond. To quote from the abstract, the ideas I'm going to talk about are easily incorporated into either a hypnotherapy or counseling session and are extremely versatile. It's all about helping children to use their imagination to cope with anxious thoughts and feelings, whether or not they are COVID related. Most children respond very well to the idea of the brain as a mental computer, tablet, or phone, and are very happy to adjust their internal mental settings as directed to reduce anxious responses and increase calm, controlled reactions. Levels of anxiety can be marked and lowered, sometimes even cleared completely, so the child can cope in a much calmer way, discovering and reinforcing their inner resources, then creating positive triggers for calm, confidence, and courage. For little ones, magicking away fears and worries has a great appeal and generally works with a wide variety of issues. Thank you.
First, can I check that you can hear me?
Hi, Lynda, we can hear you loud and clear. And we can see
Okay, wonderful. Well, the number of children I've been seeing for anxiety problems, particularly school-related, has soared over the last 2 years. Not only an increase in clients, but actually a worrying increase in the intensity of the anxiety itself. So I'm going to give you a very quick overview of ideas that will reduce panic and anxiety and increase calm, confidence, and control. I find that they work very well in person and on Zoom. In many cases, you can use these ideas whether you're a hypnotherapist or a counselor. You can select one idea or several, and you can use within one session or over several sessions. Select according to their age group, personality, their individual needs and interests, and of course, their level of anxiety. Now, a really good idea is to create a short, general calming audio for different age groups and have them listen to one before you actually see them. Why? Well, because it gets them used to your voice and used to using their imagination. It helps them relax at bedtime so they can drift off to sleep instead of lying awake, worrying and working themselves up into a state. So by the time you meet them, they already feel that they know and trust you. So 2 very useful activities for helping children cope with panic. And panic is very often induced by going into the school gates in the morning and also having to go into assembly. For some reason, these are very panic-inducing. And I explain that when we get panicky, we usually have too much oxygen inside us and not enough carbon dioxide. So we need to get that balance right. So I do it with them as I explain. I say, all you have to do is to cup your hands over both your nose and your mouth. And when you're ready, you can breathe in. And then when you breathe out, you're breathing out the carbon dioxide and you catch the out breath in your hands That's good. Very good. And then breathe in the air that you've just breathed out. That's it. Yes.
Sorry, Lynda, I have to just interrupt you over here.
Okay.
You don't have your slides being shared just yet. Just have to let you know.
My what? Sorry?
Your slides aren't shared just yet. You need to share your slides. Okay.
I thought I had done.
Yeah, it's okay. You just have to repeat it one more time for us.
I'll have to go back to the beginning then.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll end the show. Oh dear.
It's okay. You can continue from where you are, but just with the slides this time. Don't worry about it.
I spent a long time preparing them. Let's try again.
It's okay.
If you go to the bottom of your screen, you'll see screen share.
Yeah, I did that before, but can
Yes,
you see now?
Yeah, we see it now. Yes, we see it.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So I am here.
Yeah, you're here right now. Yes. You can
Right.
continue. You can continue from here, Lynda. And then
Is that okay?
Enable full screen.
Sorry?
Enable full screen, full view.
Enable.
Yeah, right there. It should be, go back, sorry, go back. It is slideshow at the top right, slideshow.
Yeah.
Yes, from current. Okay, you can just go forward. I think you just click and you'll get that your slide. Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah, we can see it. You can see it. You can see it very clearly. Okay, yes. You can continue from here. Thank you, Lynda.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying was about the cupped hands breathing activity. And I talk them through it and explain that they're breathing in the soothing carbon dioxide and getting the balance right. And when you get the balance right, you feel so much calmer straight away. Just doing it between 3 and 6 times will be incredibly helpful. And I include the parent in this activity so that if the child forgets, the parent can remind them. And another simple, effective strategy that the children usually enjoy is to shake out the stressful feelings, shake out the stress hormones from the body. And so I get them to shake their hands as vigorously as possible. I tell them to try and imagine that they want to shake their hands off their arms, and they quite enjoy doing it, and it has a really positive effect. So calming breathing and vigorous movement, very, very good for just calming anybody down. Of course, if they don't want to be seen and they're at school, they can just pop into the toilet. Now, in general, I use a solution-focused approach. It's very, very good with children. Obviously, it's really, really important to listen and acknowledge their problems, or they won't engage with you. But I intersperse their answers with my questions that focus on what can make things better from now on. I'm always thinking about what they can change. So I might ask something like this. You said that you'd really like me to help you feel better. So let's think about when you are feeling better. What would be the first thing that you'd notice that would be different? They might say something like, oh, well, I wouldn't be worrying. I wouldn't be crying all of the time. So sounds good to me. So what would you be doing instead? They might say, I'd be feeling stronger. Brilliant. So when you're feeling stronger, what would be the first thing that you'd want to do? I think maybe walk to school with my friends. So I continue on in this vein, and I then often change the tense from what would you be doing to what will you be doing. So it makes it more and more real, but you have to judge the right moment to do that. something like, who do you think will be the first person to notice that there's something different about you? And what will mum and dad say when you tell them you actually went into assembly? I bet they'll be really proud. So these kinds of questions get them engaged in the process of change, and their positive answers are actually giving you the therapeutic suggestions that they need. And remember that change can happen in small steps, sometimes in giant leaps, sometimes in the session, and sometimes in between sessions. So my favorite way of thought stopping is actually the one about exploding the thought. It works really well because it gives control and then also calm and confidence. Now, first, I always check that they're okay with fireworks, and the large majority of them really like fireworks. So I tell them that they've got an inner firework of their own, and they can use it to explode any unwanted thought that dares to come into their mind. So I say, close your eyes and just get up one of those unwanted negative thoughts. Nod your head when you've got it. Okay, now I want you to set off that inner firework and notice the thought whooshes up into the sky. Look up and see that thought exploding into tiny, tiny little pieces. And then these tiny pieces turn into wonderful stars. Looking up, can you see them? Some are silver and they float down, and as they gently touch you, they fill you with peace and calm. And some are gold and they float down, and as they touch your shoulder, they fill you with amazing confidence. So I would repeat this activity maybe 2 or 3 times until they've really got the hang of it. They're usually very good at doing this and enjoying it. There are other metaphors too, things like if they're a football fan, you could get them to blow the thought into the football and kick it away. Or if you're a more gentle kind of a person, you could blow the thought away. But really something that is quite forceful is very good to get rid of these thoughts. And then anchors, positive states. Positive states are going to be things like calm, confidence, control. And what about happy feelings and safe feelings too? So change the problem talk to the more positive things in their life, where they already feel really good. Like dancing is a popular thing, sport, drama, and things like gaming on their Xbox. Their parents might not like that, but in fact they do, and they feel in control. And things like watching YouTube. So I encourage them to remember a very specific, strong, confident experience. And when they're really feeling it, I get them to squeeze their finger and thumb together to create an anchor or a trigger for these positive feelings. They can use the finger and thumb trigger to recreate these positive feelings whenever they want to feel more confident and feel that they can cope. For example, like going into assembly. Now, I'm sure you know how to use this technique, but if you don't, have a look on YouTube because there are lots of very good demonstrations. You know, you can actually use a whole session for anchoring positive states. So here's probably my very favorite metaphor. And before anybody tells me, I know the brain doesn't really function like a computer, but this idea appeals to most young people and it's really effective. So I tell them that their brain is like a computer, only far, far more powerful, and that they can program just what they want this computer brain to do. So I suggest that they, wrong way, that they go inside their mental computer and they look for the school program. And when they've got it, I tell them to look for your anxiety settings. And the levels are set between 0 to 10. I ask them where theirs are. They're almost certainly too high. So use that cursor to bring it down, feeling the anxiety getting lower and lower, calming right down. That's it, right down. Breathing in the calm and breathing out the tension. And then what is really, really important is that they save this new setting. And when they're there, just notice how your thinking is more reasonable, more rational, is clearer, is more sensible. So it's really important that you save it. Of course, you can add more settings as required, the settings that they want, and you can bring in any anchored feelings that you've used earlier. It would be a good time to do it. And I get the child to agree that in the morning, before they go to school, they check these settings and they make sure that they're all at the right setting for them. And of course, I remind them that they can increase the calm and control settings as and when needed during the day. My PowerPoint has leaped ahead and in fact to where we forward pace. I get them still in their computer mind. I get them to imagine clicking on the YouTube screen that most of them love again, but I get them to see themselves doing everything that they told you that they wanted to achieve. So I guide them through it. And things like, see yourself looking ready for school. Hey, you're looking so relaxed. And then again, walking to school with their friends, perhaps. Oh, are your friends surprised how chatty you are again? And look at you. You're using your finger and thumb trigger just as you go through the school gate so you can really feel calm and confident. Well done. And look, brilliant. Even going into assembly with all the right mental settings in place. Your teacher looks a bit surprised, but delighted when she sees you there. And then often, almost always, I ask questions about what do you think Mum and Dad will say when you tell them about your day? Who's the most proud? Do you know what? I hope it's really you, because you've just been amazing. And you could incorporate both direct and indirect positive suggestions while you're describing the screen. So, assuming all goes well, what I want you to think about is this. I can't stress more strongly the benefits of a tailor-made audio. As you see, I put here, they reinforce everything you've done. It helps them sleep calmly and easily. They need to do it regularly at home. But the thing is, it cuts down the number of sessions, which is brilliant. And as a bonus, it enhances your reputation too, as the results are really good and ongoing. So an email I received genuinely just 2 or 3 days ago illustrates this point. I'll just read it to you. Good morning, Lynda. Thank you so much for the audio. Sarah loves it. It was a huge help this morning, and she's the calmest she's been in weeks. She met her friend at the top of the lane and walked into school with her without me. It was unbelievable. I could never find the words to thank you for everything you've done so far. And my only wish is that we'd found you years ago. Now, this is typical of the child and the parent's reaction to having this tailor-made audio just for regular listening at home. So that's some ideas for sort of medium-aged children. Here is a very powerful metaphor for separation anxiety. And I tend to use this with younger children, but if you adapt the language, you can use it with older children too, because separation anxiety is very evident when they go to school. I get them, the parent and the child, to sit and look at each other, and I get them to take a mental photograph of each other. And I tell them they should save it. They could save it in their heads or in their hearts, but almost always they save it in their hearts. And then I get them to give each other messages of love and support, which they're also going to save. So children, I'm hearing them say very often, I love you to the moon and back. Mum often saying things like, I love you so much, I'll always be there for you. Wherever you are, I'll always be there. And then they save that in their hearts as well. And then I get them to link their hearts with a magic silver cord. The cord is really stretchy. It stretches and goes everywhere that they go. It's absolutely unbreakable, and it's also invisible to others. And the other wonderful thing that they can do with this magic cord is that they send each other pre-arranged messages. So I suggest, for example, at breakfast time, they arrange what kind of message they're going to send to each other. It could be simple, just like I love you, or I'm definitely picking you up at 3:30 this afternoon, whatever. But they decide on the message so they know what they're expecting, and they decide on the time. So probably something like break time or lunch time. And the screen's ahead of me. Magic is the answer for very little ones. You can have a magic fairy waving a wand to wave the problem away, a magic tree that will hang their worries on the branches so they don't have to have them anymore. Magic flowers that child can breathe their worries into and then blow the petals away. A magic fountain washes away their worries. Magic stars can sprinkle down wonderful, amazing magic for anything. And another thing that I do, I find out before they come who their favorite character is in a movie or in their story. Princess Ella from Frozen is very popular, or Paw Patrol, these little dogs that go around in helicopters solving problems, or Peppa Pig. And I weave that into a story for them. Sometimes I tell them that Princess Ella used to have this problem when she was very young, and she's come specially to help them get over the problem, and we build a whole story out of it. But it's a really, really popular idea with young children. And very finally, did I say make a tailor-made audio? Well, yes, I believe I did once or twice. It really is the gift that keeps on giving. And that's the end of this presentation. And I'm very happy to answer your questions if you have some for me.
Thank you, Lynda. That was spectacular. And as you can see, as what Anne has said, I think most of us here, it's definitely a survival kit for me because I work with kids. So thank you so much. I think Anne said that too. Thank you for writing the book because I think a lot of us actually, that's a little bit of Bible for us as well.
Oh, excellent. Well, I did love it. And when I started out, there were almost no books that dealt with children. And so I genuinely wrote the book that I would like to have had when I started.
A big thank you from us because, as you say, resources are very scarce, and it really helps us with kids because very, very few books on kids. So, okay. Yeah. Now there are more, right?
There are more now, yes, but it still seems to sell very well.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
All right. Everyone agreed with everyone had contributed with the metaphors that they have used as well. And okay, so we've got a question from Latifa. Any teaching of self-hypnosis for children? Do you do, what kind of self-hypnosis would you do for the children?
Okay, well, I'd keep it very short. I would just get them to think about what they wanted to achieve, and I would use some of the ideas for calming, etc., that we've spoken about in the session. I like very much to use things like color breathing. Do you all know color breathing? To imagine that they're breathing in the color of calm. Most children have got good imaginations and they can do that. So to breathe in the color of calm and to breathe out any unwanted thoughts, and continue with that for a little while, and then just imagine the things that they really, really want to happen. But I do find more and more in general sessions that I have with children that they need fewer long kind of inductions, and the same sort of thing with self-hypnosis. If they just do a few breaths in of this calming color and breathing out the unwanted color, it's enough. You don't need anything really complicated.
Okay, we've got another question from Sunita, who asks, do tailor-made audio recordings have the same effect on adults as well?
I make them for adults as well. At the moment, I've been working on Zoom a lot because of the pandemic, and I do the session. Maybe it's a little bit shorter than it used to be, and then afterwards I will create a specially tailor-made audio for the client, and I tell them that I will send it on within 2 days. I do try to do it the next day, but I say 2 just in case. But again, it's such a good idea. I speak to parents now who originally came to me years ago, and they're bringing their children to me, and they say, do you know, I still listen to your audio from time to time, and they just find it a big reassurance. So yes, I use them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great. You can go back to their audio, and you're saying it even after a couple of years. So that's
sometimes even longer. I mean, truly, I had a client the other day who brought their daughter, brought them on Zoom, and she had seen me. To be honest, I didn't remember, but she had seen me about 15 years ago. And she said she still, from time to time, listens to it when she wants to feel calmer about something.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, I think we can take another one. This is from Zina. Do you always work with parent and child together in the same session, or do you work with the child on their own?
I think it depends on the age, and particularly using Zoom, you need to have a parent or somebody who is able to check that everything is going right for them. But Yes, I'm actually a great believer in parents. I know a lot of people kind of blame parents, but I usually think, yes, they might make mistakes. We all have made mistakes as parents, but most of them are really, really keen to do the best for their child. And I find that it's reassuring for the child to have the parent there. And the parent then gets an idea of what I'm aiming to do, and also can learn from the sort of words that I use so that they can use it. So, for example, to stop constantly asking, "Are you all right, darling? Oh, yes, you know, is it okay?" And because actually that reinforces the fact that their normal state is anxiety. And the parent learns to do something different as well. But it does depend, of course, on what the problem is and on what the age is. There I'm talking about younger children. But I mean, if we're talking about teenagers, then generally, no, I wouldn't, unless the teenager themselves really wanted a parent to be there. If they are highly, highly anxious, sometimes they want the parent to be there, and that's okay with me. I'm very flexible.
Okay, I think I'll take a last question here from Dr. Hira. How about children with autism spectrum disorders? It's sometimes quite difficult to use imaginative or hypnosis techniques with them. Is there any anxiety management techniques specifically for children on the spectrum?
I don't know that that they are specifically for children on the spectrum, but I think it is interesting that if you use something which is really their interest, they get absorbed in it more easily than you think that they will. For example, the metaphor of the computer, generally you can use quite well with a child that is on the spectrum, but of course it does depend whereabouts they are on the spectrum. Sometimes metaphors don't work that well, but I think if you find the right one, frankly, for most of them they do. And this idea of a computer, or a lot of the children that I see who are about, I don't know, 9, 10, 11, 12, they are autistic, and they absolutely love playing on the Xbox. Their parents don't love them playing on the Xbox. However, you can use that as a metaphor because they're often doing gaming exercises on that, and you can use that because it is a sense where they have control, and what they want is to have control. They don't like being out of control in any way. So something like, if you choose your metaphor very carefully, like the computer, like the Xbox, something like that, it generally works well. Or just do it completely factually. Don't use a metaphor at all. I mean, just ask them what it is that they want to achieve. But I think you can also use a kind of parts work with them, and they would respond well to the idea. Yeah, you know, when you're on your Xbox and you're gaming and you are doing really, really well, you're winning. That's a kind of part of you. So I think that Xbox part of you could be really helpful to you. So I don't think there is one specific way only to deal with it. You have to, again, work with the person, but I would speak a bit more slowly, give them more processing time, and check with them more often that they understand what I mean. But again, you can do some really, really good, helpful work with children on the spectrum. But like all of them, it depends on the child, and it depends on the degree of autism, really. And I think the most important thing, and this goes for all children, but maybe particularly with autistic children, if they don't want to do it, you won't get anywhere. So an approach I often use, because the parent will contact me first, I ask if they think the child has got any real will to make things different, make things better. And often the parent isn't sure. So I say that the parent should say to the child, Lynda has helped a lot of people of your age, a lot of teenagers or whatever. And if they want, you could mention that they've got ASD as well. And she would love to help you, but she only wants to help you if you want her to. She doesn't want to help you because mum wants the help. She wants to help you only if you want to help. So you run the risk that they might say no. But if they do say no, they wouldn't respond well in the first place. But if they feel that they're the important person, they're going to be listened to, and it's not about mum and dad telling them that they've got to do it, it's going to get a far better result. And again, if you do a short, calming, tailor-made audio for them to listen to afterwards, usually they're very good with that.
Thank you, Lynda. And I think we will have some more questions which will be emailed to you. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us. Thank you so much.
Okay, it's been lovely to be here. All right, bye.
Bye.